Good morning, Bore da. How are we? It is Sarah Tagg here, live on a Monday morning, and possibly the best Tai Chi session ever, or should I say Tai Chi movements for well-being session, because let's face it, it's been a very grey, very wet, very windy weekend. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you this opportunity to connect inwards, really center, and do some lovely movements that are going to really nourish us and really enhance our well-being. So I'm hoping you're feeling well. If you're not feeling well, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure today, then just, if you're not well, certainly don't do it, but this will record and you can watch it another time. And if you're not sure, just go and let's use this soft limit. We're going to make the movements very gentle. And if you still find it isn't great, just don't be frightened just to step away and wait till another time. So what we're going to need, very little. I tend to do this session barefoot, but if you prefer shoes on, that's absolutely fine. If you prefer socks, fine. Just make sure you're not on a very slippery surface. And what we're going to do is just make sure we've got enough space around us that we can actually sort of just move our arms freely. So if there's something in your way that you can move, or if there's not, just make sure that you temper those moves accordingly. So be very aware of your surroundings. And then when you feel ready, let's see if we can play around with this foot position. So we talk about balance, and to be balanced, to perform these movements in a relaxed fashion, we have to feel balanced, we have to feel grounded, we have to feel safe. So by taking those feet wider and then narrower, we're just gradually arriving at that position where the feet are roughly hip width apart. And we want those feet sort of roughly at 12 o'clock on that clock face. Okay, about 12 o'clock, so that we can come back to that alignment that we were born with, not the one that's sort of developed because we had a sore hip or sore shoulder. We're going to see if we can slide into that long spine. And then we're going to take a breath out. And then when you feel ready, we're going to think about rubbing the palms, the fingertips, creating some friction, and then placing those hands on your face, letting your face relax into those hands. We're going to rub those hands together again. Notice the skin on the face, the cheekbones, the shapes of those eyes, the shape of that head. One more time, focusing on the skin of the hands, of the palms, the thumbs, the fingers, allowing those soft hands to receive the faith. That private space, this is your space. This is your session. So we're going to come away, start with this form of self-massage. And it's a form of appreciation for this body. We're paying it some attention, we're giving it some nourishment, being kind to it. So if this is hurting, think about being kind to the body. This is your body. I'm going to bring those taps around to the chin, over that top lip, up the nose, round those eye sockets to the temples, back around those eye sockets, up the bridge of that nose, over those eyebrows and back to those temples. And then relax those arms down. So either with the fingertips or that light fist or that smoothing action. And start to take that massage to the neck. We don't want these movements to do big. Into the shoulders. Just notice how much tension these shoulders, this neck is taking at the moment. These challenging times. So let's pay these shoulders a bit of attention before we move down this arm. And we're just noticing how this arm feels, how it feels to have this massage. And then coming up the inside of this arm, to the shoulder, to that chest. And then allowing those arms to rest. Noticing any changes from the side that's been massaged to the side that hasn't. And then taking this massage and again, paying some attention to the neck, then to the shoulder. If you find it difficult to reach, we can just use those fingertips. Coming down that arm. You might say, do I have to come down the outside? Well, it's the way that I've been trained. And I've been told that we're following these energy lines with the body. So always back up the inside. Same with the legs, always back up the inside. And then we're going to take these gentle movements. I mean, some of you may prefer to make them more vigorous. But remember, we're being kind to this body. We deserve some kindness. We all deserve it. We're always very hard on ourselves, hard on our bodies. So let's let that go. And let's learn to be gentler, kinder. Let's take these gentle massage movements. And sometimes they're invigorating. We want a bit of a wake up, but it's still kind. So we're going to come down the backs of these legs. Now you might need to bend the knees if you've got sore lower back. And maybe limit how far we go. We're going to come back up the inside of those thighs. Okay, then down the sides. And again, if this area is sore, you can pay a little bit more attention. Okay. And then finally, down the fronts of those legs. Coming back up, shaking these legs out, shaking the feet out a little bit, shaking these arms out. So see if we can lose any tension. Lose any tension. So again, finding that balanced position. And once we're there, we're going to take the hands to that area beneath the pubic bone, or between the pubic bone and the belly button. So this is our center. From this center, we're going to imagine this spine. And we're going to imagine lengthening through that spine all the way up through the neck to the crown of this head. While we're lengthening, we're going to imagine space opening up between each vertebra, all the way to the crown of that head. And then we're going to allow this face, this neck, these shoulders to soften. And at the same time, from this center, we're going to imagine that lengthening process coming down the spine, down that tailbone, all the way down, that imaginary tail, almost to the heel. And then we're going to open up these hands. We're going to move away from the center, almost creating this circle. And then we're going to bring those hands, allow them to come back into this powerful center. Now this time, as these hands move away from center, we're going to gently soften those knees. But it's not a bend of the knees. So what we're going to avoid is that. We're just going to take those knees off lock. Feel that weight come through the feet, down into the ground. And then when we feel ready, we're going to practice taking our weight through this leg, coming back to center, taking our weight through this leg. So there's a little bit of movement in these hips. The knees stay in line with that second toe. And we're just feeling ourselves sinking down. Good. So we're going to come back to center. Diagonal repatterning. Coming back to that circle. Feeling that connection with that center. Hands soft. Face is soft. Shoulders are soft. You can feel this ground beneath the feet, giving us this movement, giving us that sense of balance, of being grounded. It's not going anywhere. You can rely on it. And then we're going to let those arms go. 2 dragons wrapping. So let's see if we can allow any tension, any brittleness to flow from the shoulders, from the spine, through the arms. Just let it all flow out. And then as we come back, the legs stop and the arms just take their time to come back to you from this center. So we can feel this connection to our center. And gently lift that chest, open up the left side of the body. Then we're going to open up the right side. Then we're going to come down to that lower point, open up the back of the body, circle round, so we're opening up the left side, and then up. So if we had a ball resting in these arms, it would be rolling down over the abdomen, around and up over that chest and down. And we're breathing out as we flex, come forwards. We're breathing in as we circle up. Allow that face and neck to soften to move where you think feels right. Doesn't need to be rigid or sore. And then we're going to change direction, opening up that left side, opening up that lower back, opening up that right side, breathing in. So these hips still, stable, offering us that grounded balance. Coming back to that center. Now, flying like wild geese. Drawing this breath in, breathing out. Noticing this movement coming from the ground, through the feet, up and down. Breathing out this flow, this grace. Heaven and earth, circle. It's as if I'm having my sleeves lifted and lowered. Someone else. These arms feel weightless. At the same time, almost heavy. These palms, just tracking that lower back, that lower spine, all the way down to the floor behind the heel. And then open to the day from that center, that welcome. It's that flow, that connection, that breathing. Without trying too hard, just doing what feels natural. Now we're going to sweep down, open, and breathe out. That bending of the knees, but the heels stay down. The legs straighten as the arms come up. And then reversing that move. Arms come wide rather than behind you. We're using that soft limber. Breathing in. Breathing out. leading with these thumbs. And remembering our circle can be smaller, it can be visualized. It's the same circle as your circle. Back to that connection and circle. Gazing at the moon. So with this left leading, breathing out. It's as if that breath is moving through that shoulder, that arm, through to those fingertips. Try it with two arms. Noticing that weight transfer into that right side, through that right leg. Breathing out. Breathing in. Taking one more on each side. Coming into our natural step. So we're going to move this left foot, turn on that heel, just out. And as we step out, we're going to turn those hips in line with that foot. And then with that heel, just stepping out, gently placing that foot down, allowing those hips to face forward, and softening. So with those hands on that center, straighten out those legs, and then sink like that boat in water as we open. And here am I. Breathing out, expanding that center. Soft toes, soft face, soft shoulders, soft hands. Breathing out. This is who I am. And then as we bring this foot back, turn in. Ideally back in that position that we started in. So we'll see if we can do the same this time, turning this foot outwards. Somewhere from 12 to 1, 2 o'clock. And again, remembering to turn those hips. And then just placing this heel, stepping out. Allowing the rest of the foot to come down, then turning those hips. And then from that center, straightening out those legs, relaxing those shoulders, settling. Practicing that weight transfer if we're not sure. And then breathing in from that center. This open move. opening ourselves up, being honest about who we are, what makes us tick, what our weaknesses are. It's okay to have weaknesses, what our strengths are. Lots of them. Can't all have the same strengths. It's what makes us so special, our differences. And then coming back from this center, settling like that boat in water, forming that circle. And we're going to bring those hands together, draw them apart. Notice there's a sense of communication, a connection between the palms. And then that connection, bring back to that center so the palms are turned, facing that center. That left hand over the right. And we're drawing that left hand. The right follows, then the right draws, and the left. Waving hands like clouds. That flow, softness, soft shoulders, soft hands, soft face, that relaxed breathing. Coming from that center. Five elements. The rise, the fall, the rise, and the fall. So there's grace, softness in that tailbone, that lower back, neck, shoulders, hands. We're connecting, we're moving outside of these four walls into that green space, that space that's special to you, that you love. Being there just nourishes you, gives you that sense of well-being. So we're going to picture ourselves there, feeling the breeze on our face, listening to those sounds of nature, hearing sounds of water moving, stream gurgling, river flowing. Stay connected to that center, to those sense of nature. And then our circle of well-being. So we're going to take this weight into this right foot, right leg. And we're going to draw this circle, transferring that weight through the left leg. Coming down into that right leg, transferring into that left. Drawing this circle all the way around. Breathing in, breathing out. Letting that head relax, that face and neck soften. And then changing direction as we breathe out. Notice that tension seeping out. The circle can be smaller. It can be bigger. Returning to center. Expanding. Bringing it in. Breathing in. Breathing out. Allowing those palms to gather and then absorb through the abdominal area. So at the end of that sequence, we're going to just be aware of our surroundings, particularly sometimes some run-throughs, some sequences are more powerful than others and can take you a little bit of time to come back into the room. So if you need a drink or a comfort break, now's your time. For those of you who've only got time to do this one run through, that was our first sequence, and what we tend to do is repeat it again, pretty much exactly the same, just some of the things I say might be different. So if you're finding it too much, some of you might like to do the sequence seated, and it's very, very powerful seated, but we need to make sure that you are grounded so that if you can, having that nice long spine and feeling feet comfortably on the floor. So you might find you need to walk forward in that chair a little bit. You might find there's ever so slightly more of this sort of movement, particularly with these sorts of movements, just so you can push those legs down into the floor. So it's just the same. The only thing we need to be careful of is two dragons wrapping in the back of the chair. So, if anyone is interested in the seated version, we have a seated version on the playlist, on the Tai Chi Movements for Wellbeing playlist. Okay, so I hope everyone's ready for the next run through. I'm going to just 2 seconds. Excuse me 1 moment. I'm back. So, coming back to that foot position. You can always check it once you think you're right enough. I've got a habit of standing with one foot slightly behind the other, and it means I sort of do that. So it's a good idea just to check, see if you've got it right. Because once we've got into the habit of doing something, it's quite difficult to come out of it. And then just practice placing those hands, connecting with the center of you to your core. And then when you feel ready, slightly shorter version of this self-massage. Finding where you feel you need that touch the most. Let yourself be your guide. Your body will tell you where to go. And then when you feel ready, this massage on the neck, or to the neck, to the shoulders. It may feel a little bit different after we've run through the first sequence. Notice what this does for you. So you notice anything that feels wrong. Because if anything feels wrong or painful, we need to adapt. This is all about self-care. Not pushing yourself into pain. So it may be that we make the moves lighter, gentler. It may mean that we make the moves so small that we're visualizing it in the mind, visualizing the movement. So covering the front of this body nice and evenly. Some areas though may need a little bit more attention. Maybe the chest at this time of year, maybe the lungs. And then coming around, kidneys, lower back. Now, the backs of these legs. So sometimes this feels a little bit easier than the first time, not always. We're all different. And then again, sides. We want to pay a little bit of attention to these glutes, the mini glutes. And then finally, the fronts of these thighs and hips. Diagonal repatterning. We're going to take 3 movements to each side. You can feel those feet on the floor. Toes are soft, relaxed, and spread. Feel the heels, the balls of the feet. It's as if they've grown roots down into that ground, making you feel secure. And then just transferring that weight one side. It's as if the legs initiating that movement, the arms following. Just be careful of those knees if you have any knee issues. Make sure you're not over bending or twisting. After the legs stop, the arms take their time. flying like wild geese. Softening that neck, head, shoulders. Allow me to lift the sleeves by your elbows, picking them up. Heaven and earth. Circle. Formed with those wrists. Finished with the palms. Breathing in. Breathing out. Opening from that center. There's no tension at this fullest point. There's that recall point. And then bending those knees, the heels stay down. Breathing out. Parting those clouds. Let's look for the positive. Move these negative clouds and feelings and thoughts. Move can be smaller. We're going to take one more. Let that sun shine through. And then sweeping round, leading with the thumb, rowing the boat. Powerful movement for the shoulders, for the legs, so we can make it smaller. Remember, soft limit. And that breath in, that breath out. Head is soft, the neck is soft, face is soft. Coming back to that center. Placing that tail on the floor, behind those heels, gazing at the moon. That tail stays down, up in balance. A natural step. So with this left foot, turning on that heel, as we place the ball of the foot down, just turn in those hips to face that toe. Then placing that heel out, not overreaching, finding that comfortable position. Turning those hips to face. Now from that straight leg position, sinking down, Dropping that tail, expanding from the center into that circle. Here am I. Breathing in. Breathing out. Coming back in. And then taking that step. So there's that balance. Heel. If we overstep, we won't be able to balance. Waving hands like clouds. Leading with that left hand on top of the right. Palms facing the center. Feel that connection to the center. And then let's feel that connection. One palm to the other. And as they come back and cross, those palms turn to face that center. Five elements. Let's find that green space. Notice how it makes you feel. The emotions. Breathe it in. And breathe it out. Soft head, soft neck, soft face, soft hands. Find that flow. Our circle of well-being. Taking that weight, drawing this circle around ourselves. Changing direction. returning to center. Breathing in, breathing out. Feeling those feet connected to the ground. Noticing how we feel when I bring ourselves back to our center, back to you. Noticing that sense of calm, groundedness. Our sense of self. We're back to being ourselves. Staying with that feeling, that moment for as long as you feel it's right. And then when you feel it's time, just become aware of some of the sounds. I can always hear the birds and the wind outside. It's a really nice way to bring yourself back into where we are. And just gently move those feet. That was an absolute pleasure and a privilege to do that session with you today. Thank you, because we used to do this session on a Wednesday in Cardigan, and I know quite a few of you who join us were there, and I used to always think, thank goodness for Wednesday mornings. It just used to come at the best time, and that has just set me out for the rest of the week, the half-term week. So many thanks for joining me. I hope you got as much out of it as I did. If you have any questions or any queries or any worries about it, do get in touch. Otherwise, just enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you have a drink, and look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.